I want a mac and cheese recipe that will have friends and family begging me for more. So I'm going to turn to three-star Michelin chef Gordon Ramsay and his Broad Street Kitchen Cookbook to see what he can teach me. I'm going to break this recipe down into four major milestones: creamy cheese sauce, cooked macaroni, breadcrumb topping, and finally assembling the dish for baking. I'll get started with my creamy cheese sauce. The recipe calls for Comté cheese, but I don't have that cheese available to me. I'll substitute Gruyere and hope that Gordon doesn't find out. If you do have Comté cheese, that's what the original recipe calls for, so I would go with that. I'll grate 100 grams of this Gruyere cheese. Next, I'll grate 100 grams of mature cheddar cheese that I'll combine with the Gruyere. Both of these cheeses will go into our cream sauce. A unique ingredient that this recipe calls for is fresh mozzarella. That stood out to me and is one of the reasons I picked this recipe today. I've never seen a mac and cheese recipe that uses fresh mozzarella balls, and I was really curious to see how Gordon incorporates this into the dish. So I'll take 300 grams of those mozzarella balls and slice them. Next, I'll tear those slices into chunks and place them separately from the other cheeses in a bowl. These will go into our assembly step with the Parmesan. I'm finished with my cheese prep, and I'll set all of these cheeses to the side. Continuing with my cream sauce, I'll start preparing the milk that needs to be steeped for 30 minutes. I'll need a quarter of an onion, so I'll cut this yellow onion but reserve that quarter I need for the milk. I'll peel 2 whole garlic cloves that I'll set aside with the onion. Next, I'll add 1.3 liters of whole milk into a pot and place that on my induction burner on a low setting. I'll add the onion and garlic, plus 1 bay leaf and 1 star anise. The technique here is called steeping. It's similar to making a classic bechamel mother sauce. I'm going to bring this milk up to a near boil, and then let these ingredients sit in the milk for 30 minutes to infuse it with a depth of flavor that I think will make a big difference in this recipe. I'll need to transform this milk into a thick sauce by adding a roux, 100 grams of butter on a medium heat here to melt. Once melted, I add 100 grams of all-purpose flour. This is going to be a blonde roux, so I'm just going to be cooking these two ingredients together for a minute to remove that chalky, raw flour flavor, but still have a lot of thickening power left. I'll set this roux to the side and come back to my milk that is steeped for 30 minutes now. That milk has been well infused, so it's time to finish my cream sauce. I'll strain the onion, garlic, and aromatics from the milk and put my roux into a pot and back on the induction burner. I'll slowly but surely add the milk into the roux while I'm stirring. My roux has absorbed all of this milk to create a nice thick sauce, and I'll keep stirring it here to prevent it from burning. But it looks like my inexperience using this portable induction burner is showing, because I have this way too hot and I've started to scorch the bottom of my pot. I'll reduce the temperature here and keep stirring to try and prevent any more scorching. I know Chef Ramsay would be very disappointed in me right now. I'll give this a taste to ensure that I didn't ruin this sauce, which I didn't. It just got a little brown on the bottom. That's not great, but it's not a huge deal because the flavor is unaffected at this point, so we can keep going. It's time to add my Gruyere and cheddar into the sauce. I'll keep stirring until the cheese is incorporated into the sauce. Giving this a taste, I'll add some salt and pepper here to make sure this is seasoned. And our cheesy cream sauce is ready to go, and I'm on to the next step for the macaroni. I'll add salt to the large pot of water to season until it tastes like the ocean and bring this to a boil. But now, I'm having difficulties. Either this pot is too big, the burner is too weak, or my pot isn't doing a great job on the convection. So I'll move this pot over to my stovetop to get it to that rapid boil we need, which is still having some difficulties. It might be time for me to retire this pot. Once boiling, I'll add 500 grams of macaroni to the water and cook for about 9 minutes. Strain the macaroni, and I'll rinse it in cold water to remove the extra salt on the outside of the pasta. Our macaroni is cooked, and we are on to our next step, which is to make the breadcrumbs. I don't have any white breadcrumbs available, so I bought a baguette today to make some. First, I have to put my brave little toaster oven to its lowest temperature setting. I'll dice this baguette into pieces and put it in my oven so that it'll dry quickly. While that's in the oven drying, I'm going to go ahead and chop some parsley here on the dingiest cutting board I can find. I need 4 tablespoons finely chopped that I'll be adding into the breadcrumb mixture. The baguette is dry and ready. I'll pulverize these in my, I don't know what to call this actually, mini Roboku. It's not a typical blender and it's not a mixer. I don't know. My mini robo is what I'll call it. Once the baguette pieces are pulverized in the mini robo, I'll set 100 grams of breadcrumbs aside. I'm going to place 25 grams of butter into a pan on low heat. I'll throw in 2 cloves of crushed garlic and then those breadcrumbs. I'll cook all this together for about 6 to 8 minutes to get the breadcrumbs nice and toasty, letting that butter, garlicky flavor penetrate into the crumbs. Once they look golden, I'll turn my heat off and throw in the 4 tablespoons of parsley. Give that a good mix and set to the side. Okay, I've made it to my last step, which is the assembly. First thing I will do is preheat my oven to 200 degrees Celsius or 400 degrees Fahrenheit, because this will assemble very quickly. I've added my sauce to the macaroni and have begun mixing it. I wanted to show you that, but I did not hit record on my camera, so my inexperience as a videographer is showing here. So in the future, retire that old pot and do my job better. Got it. This is looking great though. If I had a casserole dish, I would use that because it would look more presentable for the video, but I do not. So we are going with a hotel pan. Hashtag chef life. I added the torn fresh mozzarella balls to the top of this mac and cheese, adding the bread crumbs on top of that mozzarella cheese. And now a little behind the scenes here. The combination of cooking and shooting plus reading from the cookbook must have finally got to me. Besides that time I burnt our cream sauce, I forgot about our Parmesan cheese that should go on top of that mozzarella before these breadcrumbs. It's all good. I love blasting my mistakes on the internet here. So this is still looking good, and I'm going to get this right into my brave little toaster oven. I'll bake this for 15 to 20 minutes, and that checks off our last major milestone on the recipe. But this is looking amazing, and I'm really happy with this at this point of the shoot. You can see the oozy-goozy cheese as we pull this out of the pan and plate up. And wow, this is honestly great. I love it. The thing that hits me right away when tasting the dish is that the mac and cheese has more of a complex flavor than any other mac and cheese I've had. I believe the aromatics in that milk really made a difference here. The choice of cheese is great, and I think having that mozzarella as a top layer of cheese is an excellent choice. This holds up well in the fridge. I reheated this mac and cheese in a little toaster oven with a side salad here, and it was a great, easy leftover meal. So yes, this dish is a great choice. Even my Vietnamese staff loved it. I think that you should give Gordon's mac and cheese a try.